Hello there. Welcome to the KMS wrap up show for June 16th, 2022. Today's show was I Was Never Touched, talking about Dave Cullinane. She had another hashtag He Too story about how when he was, I think he kind of hinted at late middle school, he saw his homeroom teacher's vagina. He believes that she kind of flashed it to him, and he was very brave in sharing the story with us. He kind of went back and forth on whether or not we, like me, Kirk, and Greg and Mike, believed him. Kirk decided to say Kirk's opinion was he believes that Dave believes it. So that's where the title came from. But solo show today. Uh, Unable to find a partner to do this with. It's tough. It's tough. If anyone out there wants to ever jump on the wrap up shows, please just reach out to me in DMs, and I would be happy to have literally anyone at this point. So, uh, but yeah, good show today, great show today. Mike was in studio. Greg Poehler was in studio. I was very not concerned, but curious as to how Greg would be in studio. I haven't heard much about him, especially like I don't know how he would translate to a podcast. I think he did fantastic. I think he was a great third seat. I think he played off Mike very well. Him and Dave going back and forth about, you know, Greg being able to book people. Right off the bat when he came out and he's like Kirk, I just hope you know the 30,000 podcast appearance fee coming my way. Dave confirmed it. It's like this guy knows the show. He knows the show. He's it wasn't one of those things where it sounds like he knew the show more than God, probably Riggs or even Whitney did. I mean, he sounds like to be a day one Minifan, and he definitely seems like the kind of person that would be at all these different events and live shows if he didn't live, literally around the world. Um, he had some very. I think he was great. I think he played back and forth. He Kirk did make a couple of jokes about how Greg is very liberal and blah blah blah. I do think it's a good change of pace to have someone who is on the opposite spectrum of like Greg said of what we're used to, especially in the Steve Robinson era, or like having a guest like Montante and I know Clemmer is a big lib, but he really never would push back. And to hear like them just talk about things and be able to play along, like talking about the quotas and Tom Hanks going back and forth about the playing a homosexual character was very interesting to hear. I think I think Greg did a great job, and the back and forth stories, hearing him how he taunted Kirk's teammate and ended up regretting it. Just these old Kirk stories that just really I was surprised. I was surprised. I give Greg an A+. I think you're not going to get a better Thursday spot than what Greg did. I do think it helped a little bit that Mike was in studio and kind of took the pressure off of Greg, but we'll see. But there were a couple main big takeaways from today's show. The first real big chunk of today's show, talking about Milton's, how I swindled them out of pieces of clothing and things of that nature, and just the whole restaurant idea. I will say I was staring at the TV quite a bit. I know Kirk mentioned that while I was in the restaurant, I was enthused by the TV, and it's just like because I don't want to just be staring at Kirk or Bill. I mean, I'm just looking up at the TV, watching Stephen A. Smith say, is Steph Curry, a top 10 NBA player if he gets this fourth NBA Finals? And so I don't know, just a nervous tick I have um, to be at a sports bar, just watching that. But the recap of Milton's very funny. Obviously, the big takeaway from yesterday's show, not necessarily from yesterday's show, but the aftermath of yesterday's show was the fact it took so long to put up, and the whole hashtag fire Cullinane saga ensued. I thought it was very funny to hear that Dave wanted to put up or asked Kirk to put up a shirt that said, "Hey, maybe if we can kind of capture this fire Cullinane magic," and and just to hear Kirk's reaction off of that. And while I will say I saw the email Dave sent. It was June 15th was the start of this new uploading thing where you have to put the ads in a certain place in the back end, and it takes a lot longer. It's just so funny how just things work out with this show. How it's like, of course, this is the first day right after Dave says it takes 10 minutes to upload. The next day, the one day in which we're running late, the show has someplace to be, Kirk has someplace to be. Now it's going to take 40 minutes to do it. So I think it was just very funny, just the whole like no chance. Even Kirk said it best. He's like, even if it's true, like you can't use this as your excuse. But I think I don't blame. And like Kirk said, Steve would have gotten it up. He would have just straight up just not went to the lunch. But I do understand where Dave was coming from when he says like we have a business lunch to get to with Bill from Milton's. So where he was going like that, and it makes great content. It started the whole hashtag Fire Cullinane thing. Like I said, it was it was great, and to hear Mike riffing with it, and you know Kirk's reaction to Mike at the lunch when he was talking away with Kirk beforehand was great. Um, that was the first kind of big main take. It was I want to say like Greg did a great job. It was a very Dave centric show today though. With the whole hashtag Fire Colony thing going on yesterday, and then later on in the show, I'll get to Greg's Hollywood stories and his pitches and things of that nature in just a minute. But I do want to jump forward to the flashing of the vagina to Dave when he was in middle school, and I want to believe the guy. I want to believe him. A lot of people I see on Twitter are saying, I don't think this happened. Kirk himself said he thinks he he believes that Dave believes it, which I do as well. I wanted to believe Dave when he first came out with the story about the going to the massage parlor, but it does victims a disservice when it comes out and you're lying, and then so it's tough when you come out again and say something else happened to you. It's like I want to believe him, but when this person has a track record of stretching the truth, maybe he saw something out of the corner of his eye he thought was a vagina. I don't know. I find it that I doubt a middle school teacher would just wake up one day and be like, I want to show Dave Cullinane my pussy and nothing else. I feel like if they're gonna go for it, they're gonna go for it. And maybe Dave truly was traumatized and he never told all of his friends. I know Kirk said that if there was a teacher and he saw his pussy, her pussy, would have been all over the school. He would have told everyone. Everyone would have said it would have been all over the school. I remember one time, this one kid in my high school said he saw a teacher. He was like a teacher's was using his iPad, and then he clicked, and there was Pornhub was up, and he just immediately told everyone. He immediately told everyone. I don't know if he was telling the truth or not. I know he went to like the upper management and said, "Oh, Mr. Smith's iPad was full of porn. I saw it." And it was just kind of like a he said, she said. But I do know that like he told everyone as soon as that happened. It wasn't something that he hid. But maybe, I don't know. I hope, it sounds like if it did happen, it was a traumatizing experience. Uh, who knows with Dave, especially with his track record with hashtag he too. So I hope he gets to that. But there were some funny stories from Greg just talking about the different shows he was on and kind of his history in show business, and I think it was really interesting to hear him like firsthand tell him of this Greek gods TV pilot that starred Michael Geary and Neighbors, Kirk Minahan and Steve Robinson and Harlan Ackerson, just all these different names, and the fact that he wrote this whole pilot, he wanted to pitch it, have it go to like shoot a show, and he just was never going to mention anything. And eventually, we'd be like, how fucking insane would that be if we just saw like someone just sent us like, hey, there's a TV show coming up on TBS that is starring Mike Geary, Harlan Ackerson, Kirk Minahan, Steve Robinson. That would have been fucking insane. That's just a true Minifan through and through. Is trying to get the like that would have been the ultimate prank phone call. Would have been the ultimate. I mean, you want to talk about the biggest. It would have been what Bob Hart's Abishola should have been. I know there was a point in 2019 when everyone was saying, well, like when Kirk was obsessed with Bob Art's Abishola, he wanted to make it a show. I believe Mike even did like a watch along. This show would have been the biggest show in Minahan in the Minahan world. I think the Minifans would have latched onto it and just purchased everything to do with it. Purchase season passes, buy the digital copies when it comes out on DVD. It would have been the funny, even if the show itself had like the Steve Robinson character or the blind Mike or the Michael Geary character had no similarity to Michael Geary or Steve Robinson. Just the fact that the names would have been like all the same, Minifans would have flocked to it. It would have been great content for the show, and just it was excellent. Couple other things from the show today. Uh, kind of near the end of the show, Kirk kind of said like, "Oh, Justin hates the show. He wants off the show. He's trying to get off 4th of July weekend or the week of 4th of July," which I don't think that's what I was trying to do. Turns out I'm going to be grilling 24 hours on the 4th of July. Kirk said, pick the hours. I'm thinking 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on the 4th to 10 a.m. on July 5th would probably be the best, because starting at midnight, you're not going to get that good of a run. You're not going to get that much of a audience boost or starting off at midnight on July 4th. It'd be nice to get a good night's rest in before I head to the studio and do all that. So we'll see. We'll see how that comes. I think that could make some great content for the show. I'll just be grilling up hot dogs and burgers, and I'm going to get like a tiny little propane grill in there, and we'll see what else I think of in regards to that. Because I mean the show is off for 2 weeks. I know Kirk said probably do some sort of check-in thing within the next week or two, especially with Barstool Idol coming up and Clemmer being a part of that, to try to see what exactly, because no one has any idea what's going on. I've reached out to multiple people. I'm trying to figure out where I can go, what I can do, and I'm just not getting many responses. So I don't know. I'm in a tough situation right now. I just need to know what's going on. What time is it taking place? I've heard multiple things. It's taking place at 1 p.m. every day. It's taking place at 7 p.m. every day. I have no idea what's going on with Barstool Idol. So hopefully we hear more about it on the Yak tomorrow in regards to just fucking around with Clemmer. We will see. A couple other big takeaways from today's show. The Jerry stuff is great. Whenever Jerry is just like Jerry, like just, I mean, it's just old man yelling at clouds. It's just, I don't know. It's like, Jerry, you live in Massachusetts and it's 2022 and it's June. There's going to be gay shit everywhere. It's Pride Month. The Red Sox are a liberal company, a liberal organization. Of course, they're going to have drag queens come out and throw the first pitch. It's nothing's going to change. I understand it's not the 1980s anymore when these people would be taken out back behind Fenway and get the shit kicked out of them. It's just the way the world works. If you really want to, go against it, move to Texas, Jerry. You got the money. It's fucking ridiculous. The Red Sox suck, of course, and all they're doing is pandering to what is woke and what is good. But it's just the world we live in. There's nothing. There's drag queens are gonna continue reading books at libraries. There's nothing we can do about it. To hear Jerry just to constantly just yell and yell and yell over and over, it's just funny to hear him say, the stolen tweets and stolen ideas he comes up with is very good. Um, you know, the it, I'm also interested in seeing if Kirk's prediction on Vince McMahon comes true. He said that by the end of the day tomorrow, on Friday, Vince McMahon will step down or be fired from the WWE, which would be huge. I mean, for my entire life, Vince McMahon has been the face and the passion behind the WWE, and I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I do think that would be ginormous news if these new accusations are what takes him down. To you know, so we'll see in regards to that. Let me just read the comments. I'm sure it's just nothing but beep beep and troll. We'll see. What bag of vegetables was it today? It's a mixed bag. It's carrots, peas, it's a whole lot of stuff. Um, Dave says unbe fucking believable. Oh, the fact that Dave. I mean, I want to believe you. I want to believe you. I truly do. But I think when you have a track record of coming out and not telling the truth, and then coming out and saying I didn't tell the truth, it's difficult. It's difficult. So we'll see. We will see. Um, so yeah, but shows off for a couple weeks. It should be. Have you asked Clemmer to come on? I feel like I'm not in the position to ask Clemmer to come on uh, the KMS wrap up show. I feel like that's not wouldn't be appropriate to. And I don't know if he'd want to come on. I think he like Kirk said he's kind of abandoned the Minifans and he's all focused on the whole thing with Barstool next week. So we will see. Um, well, that about does it for today's wrap up. Great show. I think I give Greg Poehler an A plus. I really hope whenever he comes over from Sweden, we're able to get him in studio and all that fun jazz. Thank you to Kirk. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Mike. We'll uh we'll see what happens in these next couple of weeks that Kirk is taking off. So hopefully everything goes well, and I'll talk to you when I talk to you here on the KMS wrap up show. Bye.